So today is Monday, October 5th. A beautiful day. It's been raining past couple of days, and I'm parked in my car just outside of Kenworth at 44 Barnes Road in Cambridge, which is actually already more like Kitchener. And so a quick update about my car. First off, I did the oil change, as you can see here. I did oil change, and these guys, like Chrysler, insists on Canada being a severe zone, you know, like as if it's like a North Pole or something, or very dusty conditions. And so they want us to change oil every 6 months. And so I just did it now, which was like September 30th, and you see now it says March 30th. And I only have on this car, I only have 15,362 kilometers. And so besides that, you know, I thought, you know, you still want to have a record of the car being serviced, you know, just for the warranty sake, because I've been doing oil changes, but maybe like once every, normally twice a year. I was doing it like in the spring and before the winter, you know. And so, but I think this is the first time in 2 years that I did the oil change at the Chrysler dealer, because usually they're very busy. You have to book an appointment, so I always go to a quick lube place. I know those guys. I serviced all my previous like Ford F-150 and Mazda and Ford Mustang over there, so they do a very good job. You just sit inside, you know, and they bring you coffee or a newspaper, you know, or water, whatever you want, and they tell you all your options. Like they have these special screens, you know, like the monitor on the computer is swiveling, and the guy can just bring the monitor right to the window, and he says, okay, so what oil you want, you know, like it says here that you're due for let's say a new cabin air filter or something like that. I like that, you know, that's like real service. Whereas, and no appointment is necessary. They open like 7 days a week, you know. But I know that you got to be careful with these quick lube places, because there's been quite a few reports in the media where, you know, they do unnecessary work, or they say they changed oil or they changed brakes, whereas they didn't do anything. Like Consumer Reports was at one point was waging a war against these quick lube places. So, but once you find the right one, like the one I found, that's the only place I go in Cambridge, Ontario. I think it's called Quick Lube, you know. And then there's a similar place I use for the truck. Like there's a truck Quick Lube in Ayr, just a few kilometers west. And actually that's where, once my truck is ready, that's where I'm gonna drag my trailer, because now these guys did the oil change, and more about that in a second. But I didn't want to do them I didn't want them to grease the trailer, because they charge too much, you know, all these dealers charge too much. And here we have a truck that a lot of people for some reason hate. Not sure why. So this is Kenworth, what is it, 980, 990, 990. It kind of looks kind of cool, but yeah, it doesn't have any air cleaners. It has one air filter under the hood. That's not for me. And I know inside, I've been inside it looks exactly like my T880. Just they give you a set forward axle and the big radiator, but it's more like a T880 version of a W900. And yeah, a lot of old-timers really hate this truck. But anyway, about the car. So besides this oil change, right, and some people are saying some bad stuff about American vehicles. I never had any issues with American vehicles, you know. My brother has been driving French cars, and now he's switched to Skoda, which is now is owned by Volkswagen. And I'm telling you, the kinds of problems he has it's just unbelievable with brand new vehicles, you know. Like, I find, believe it or not, that American vehicles are much more reliable. And so this is the first time where I have an issue like this, pretty much on a brand new car with, I don't know, less than 10,000 miles or 1,500,000 kilometers on the odometer, right? I hardly drive the thing. And as I mentioned before, so this thing was sitting ever since I left for Michigan to move that big Volvo excavator to BC, remember? I left the car just like normally, like this, you know, in gear. The battery was not disconnected, like I never disconnected, right? So normally there's no issues. And then I delivered the load in Terrace, BC. I sat there for a few days, then I drove to Las Vegas. I sat there for a few days till my permits were issued. And then I drove 3,200 miles via Winnipeg, Manitoba, back to Toronto, right? And when I tried to, well, the car started, but the problem was these buttons over here. None of these buttons were working, you know. Thankfully, like, see, like now, right? So accessory mode, I can turn off the radio, right? I can increase the volume. I can do this. The most important thing, that's what well, it's not gonna turn on because the engine is off now. But that's the only way to turn on the sport mode in this car, is through this physical button. And the air conditioning did not work, but like some of those functions, like for example radio, I can use this button over here. That's the volume, and this is the channel on my satellite radio over here, right? So I can change channels, I can do the volume thing, and I was able to go in here. What? Oh yeah, and that's another reason why I told them to update this thing, because sometimes, you know, you leave the car in gear with no brakes, and then like this thing, okay, now it's working, right? But normally, like, for some reason the touch screen stops working. And I read about this in the online, that you need to update the software, you know. Like sometimes I cannot like start. Okay, see, now navigation works, everything works, but sometimes nothing like this works, and I have to turn everything off and then open the door to make sure that all this goes off, you see, and then I start. But they still could not update the software. So they tried it last week, and they told me that this is directly the software from this that runs this Uconnect is directly involved with these buttons. And they said if the buttons don't work, they need to update the software. And I said, are you sure? Maybe it's just a fuse or something, because first off, when I parked the car, everything worked, right? And then I came back like 6 weeks later, the buttons are dead. And I wouldn't worry too much about this stuff, because like climate control and this I can activate via the touchscreen. But the sport mode, this is the only way to activate the sport mode on this car, you know. Like on more expensive models, you get that sport mode function on the screen. But on this car, because it's only 50,000 Canadian or 55,000 with before the discount, so it was 55,000 Canadian, because it has all this, you know, the sunroof, there's lots of options, leather seats with leather inserts, you see, the Scat Pack logo. I like this car. I'm very happy with this car. Don't want to change it, you know. I might instead of switching to a Hellcat, which is like 80,000 Canadian, that's just, the monthly payments would just be crazy. So instead I can get a supercharger put on it. But each time I drive in the sport mode, which is not working, I'm kind of like have questions about that, because my wheels are spinning on dry pavement if I'm not careful in the sport mode with only 485 horsepower at the crank, which I think it's like 435 at the wheels, and that's already way too much, you know. Like, what are you gonna do when you have like, let's say 720 at the wheels? You know, like Hellcat has 717 at the crank, about 609 at the wheels, you know. So I don't know, I would need to change my tires, because there's definitely not enough traction, you know, for such a high horsepower application. So anyway, they told me they will get a bigger stick, USB stick, and try this download again for this Uconnect software. And they said bring your car Monday. Okay, so I dropped it off today, and the driver gave me a ride to a Starbucks. I was sitting there for 4 hours, and then they call me and they say, upon further investigation, our mechanic discovered that you do not need the software, you need a new panel. And I said, I thought I was telling you guys about this, right? How can be these buttons controlled by the software? I think it's either wiring or the fuse or something. And so the guy, I just wanted to tell you what the guy wrote here. Customer reports a radio will not turn off and screen buttons work, but hard control buttons don't work. Hard control buttons, that's what he called it. Download wasn't working. Update download not working at this time. So that's the second message. So he tried it again, right? So when getting scan report from vehicle, notice center stack offline and lost communication code with it from radio. Removed, hold on, let me take my glasses off. Removed center stack and inspected wiring checked okay. Unplugged center stack and plugged back in. Center stack no online, and code went from active to stored. Looks like defect in center stack. Ordered center stack. Amount 0. You see? And so he had to replace like this thing. Probably this goes off, right? And then these things are just like inserts. But it's funny, like I said, never happened to me in my life with any American vehicle. But I'm glad it's back, everything works. So I just I drove to the MTO office, you know, DOT office, to get my CAP card. I dropped off checks on Friday, and now they send me a picture of the checks, and they say, Mr. DRATCHEV, both checks do not show the date. Like I put in the month and day, but I forgot to put in the year, like 20 for 2020. And one of the checks has nothing in the field pay to, which was supposed to read Minister of Finance. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And so I had to drive 27 kilometers back again to that MTO office in Waterloo, and I gave them corrected checks, and then I sent them an email because they don't come out. They don't want to talk to you except via email. And I took a picture of my of the checks that I wrote and the envelope, and I said, the envelope is now in your mailbox outside. Please process ASAP, and send me the email me the copy of the CAP card so I can start tracking, and then you can send me the original in the mail, because they only use now couriers. And so on the way back from Waterloo, which is up north of Cambridge, right, north of this place, I decided, I stopped by at a restaurant, had some very nice lunch at Red Lobster. I'm back on the wagon with the carnivore diet, so I only had fish and lobster tail and some scallops or something they're called. Basically just fish and you know, just meat. No potatoes, no bread, no chips, no fries, nothing. And of course the lady looked at me kind of funny, but I said, don't worry about it. And she said, okay. And so on the way back, this Kenworth is right between that Red Lobster and my home area in Cambridge. And so since the weather's good, and these guys called me in the morning, they screwed up again. Well, not again, but it was first time screw up. So so again, we're doing a conversion. We're doing an oil change and grease on the truck, and also we're doing a conversion because of the coming winter from PACCAR fuel filter assembly to DEFCO, right? And of course that requires the new filter, and the housing will be sitting upside down, like basically in the proper way. Now it's upside down under the rail. Now it should be sitting above the rail with much easier access and away from the opening in the fender, so it should not be freezing this coming winter. And actually this one, well, they told me that my PACCAR filter actually had the coolant heat, which I had no idea I had. But we double checked this new DEFCO housing. It's model 382. It has, I said, I don't care about the starting heat electric, I only care about coolant heat. So basically when I'm driving in winter, I want warm coolant run through the housing. And they said that's no problem. And then they call me and they say, one issue, your existing fuel lines don't fit the openings on this filter. So they said we'll try to minimize the amount of fuel lines we need to replace, but we have a shop here we work with where they do like a custom diameter or something, right? And so they got that Friday, I think. And then this morning I emailed them. I said checking for the status. Did you guys install everything? Is everything ready? Like, when can I have the truck? And the guy started typing. I guess he's a slow typer or something. He calls me, the supervisor. He says, Sergey, when we tried to install the fuel lines that we purchased on your behalf from this custom shop, they did not fit. So they made a mistake. So now we have to reorder them. And so that was around 10 o'clock in the morning. So now it's what, 1, I think, 1 o'clock. Yeah, 1:24. So 24 minutes past 1. And so what we're gonna do, and why I parked here on the side of the road, because the weather's good and I have my fancy drone, well, budget basic drone, but now I have I bought an extra battery, and I have a very cool case. Maybe let me show you guys. Maybe shall I show you the case? Hold on. Oh, I still need the phone. But what? All right, so the wires are okay. So you see, this is return to home. That's why in the drone they say always make sure the return to home height on the app is taller than the nearby obstacles, because when you hit return to home button, the drone will first rise to that height. Let's say in my case it's like 30 meters. You see, I bought this on Amazon. Very happy with this. I think it's even like water repellent, watertight. And so I'm just gonna use my my phone. See, this is it. This is my little toy here. The controller, extra battery, and the drone. And the wire, I think, is somewhere there. Yeah, the wire. Don't lose the wire. Yeah, that's the wire that connects the drone. But very cool. This was I forgot, 50 bucks or something. Like, you can buy a cheap one for like $10, but I didn't want a cheap. I wanted something like this to see where I can put these. There's a screwdriver here, extra propellers, the cord, and this is the battery, extra battery. Everything is charged. So So now what we're gonna do is, again, since the weather is nice, so we're gonna take off from here and we're gonna do a circle around Kenworth and see if I can find my truck. I thought you guys would like it. the flight was check this out. I flew what 10-15 minutes. It's already down to 2 dots out of 4, and that's it. So you push once and then you hold, and it's it's like a little frog, you know, like rear legs go one way, the front legs go this way. Kind of. If I had some issues with the SD card. I have a bigger SD card. When I try to use that one, it says card not available. Basically it's saying, yeah, see, that's the protector for the, it says card not available, and I try to format it. I know it has some files on it, but it was supposed to work. Okay, so now we can see this one is blinking. So I press and then I hold. That's it. And one thing I learned is that very important, because especially when you have auto brightness on your phone, it's very difficult to see anything when you are outside. And so I remember now, and before I connected everything, I increased the brightness, because before, when I was at that lake, that's why I had trouble landing this thing, because I could not see the landing icon. There's a landing there. Oh shoot, I forgot these. These go into this special compartments. And so yeah, so the flight was a success. Now I feel more and more comfortable with this thing, and especially today I learned how to fly looking at the display, and actually I found that I make much less mistakes when I look at the screen, because it's like intuitive, you know. If I want the picture to go left, I just, you know, but when I'm looking at the drone and I try to control it, I always go in the wrong direction. So screen really works. Like, it's very easy to fly on the screen. So as you saw, I did the flyby. I buzzed the tower, and so it worked. And also I learned how to be gentle with the controls, and now I can do a manual circle. I don't think I could even do this on a Phantom. When I had a Phantom 3, I could not do it. Like, it's not that easy, no. But here, because this is so small, you know, you just look at it and you just turn gently the left, the left stick, and the thing turns, but the right one controls the forward movement. So it goes in the direction it's pointing, right? So as soon as you turn it a little bit, like it was going like this, as soon as you turn it, it's not gonna go sideways, because I keep pushing the forward button. It just changes the direction. And so it was really cool. I was able to go in a circle, and for some reason I like going on the right hand side, you know, like this. I mean clockwise, you know, instead of counterclockwise. For some reason it's easier. But with these, you gotta be careful. Quite a few people had some trouble with them because they're so actually weak, you know, like the motors are not very strong. So you gotta be careful when it's windy, because they can just fly away. And so you're supposed to only, you know, operate them within the line of sight. And so I was just standing here outside of this Kenworth dealer, and you saw, but actually I think it would look pretty cool. I didn't see the video yet, but just wanted to show you guys. So this is where I bought my truck, right? And probably this is where I'll be buying my next truck, because I thought of using this guy, what's his name, Andy in Manitoba, but then I realized that you know, the Kenworth guy, right? Then I realized that my truck, I like this, but then I realized that my truck is not equipped for Western Canada, right? So you know, of course the plan is, I already was in trouble twice when I tried to sell the truck privately, because of course there's more money. Okay, see, now I have this little SD card inside the adapter, so now we're gonna, after this, we're gonna go and do the video. But so yeah, my truck, now this time I want to do trade-in. And this guy, because he's in Western Canada, where lift axles are not recognized, I doubt that it'll be easy for him to sell my truck. So basically he'll probably say no to the trade-in. And so I might as well go back to these guys. Just this time I'll make sure I have full controls on the steering wheel. I have the ladder on the frame. You know, to climb to the fifth wheel. And I got all these little goodies in there, you know. But anyway, so yeah, the flight was a success. The only problem is I did not see my truck. So normally when the truck is waiting to be taken in, it's parked in this first row in front of the shop. And then when they're done with it, but because you didn't pay, they kind of hide it behind the building, which is of course is super difficult to find, you know, especially when you have your own key, right? So of course I give them a key, but then I have a bunch of extra keys, right? What they think I have only one key. And they always hide it behind the building. No, but I think they do it because the exit from the base is right there. The entrance is on this side where they park the truck when you give it to them, but the exit is on the other side. And so I didn't see the truck. I think it's still inside the shop. And so now we're done with the video. Let me go in and talk to them and see how much longer it's gonna be. But I still don't have my, like I said, I screwed up with checks, right? So I just dropped off the checks. And so I'm not sure when I'm gonna receive my cab card, hopefully tomorrow. Because I don't need the original, I just need the email, you know, let the original come in the mail. Because it's all by email now, you know, anyway. I'll just have the receipt, just, you know, give me your confirmation that I paid. And, but I don't know, maybe they will want to wait till the check clears. You know, because I just send them regular checks. Anyway, let's just go drive there and see what the situation is with my truck. And I know the bill will be outrageous this time, because they told me that DEFCO was like 1,200 bucks Canadian, then plus install, plus fuel lines, plus oil change. By the way, where's my, okay, here we go. You know, I just bought these fancy pants at Walmart. I like these. The only problem with them is no pockets. You know, I never saw pants like this with no pockets. I checked everything in the back, on the sides, no. So when I'm walking like this with these fancy pants, 15 bucks, you know, not cheap. Not everybody can afford this, but you know, heavy haul guys, we can afford pants like this. But the only pocket I have is this, and my brother gave me this. This came with me from Russia a few years ago. He had this little jacket, and he says it's been too small for him or something, or like the sleeves were too short, so he gave it to me. And I like it now, kind of this kind of weather. All right, let's go talk to Nick from Kenworth. No, just as I suspected. I went in, there's two girls in there. I said, check out my truck. They already know me. Didn't have to tell them. Black Terminator 4XL. They said, no, they're still working on it. So, I hope they got the fuel lines. Because, yeah, one guy called me and he says, they're mistaken. They can attach the old lines. And I called the guy, I called the supervisor, I said, I'm getting some feedback here from people that actually you can attach the old lines. And he says, this guy that called you, he says, what truck he has? I said, he said international. He said, that's why. So yeah, there's different types of DEFCO, right? There's all kinds of DEFCO models. So just because it works on your truck, it does not mean that it will work on Field Marshal SERGEI's truck. Anyway, so what do? I'm not supposed, like, I don't want to sit here. I've been getting some emails. Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you about this. Remember when I got a fine in Massachusetts, right? So now I'm an expert in Massachusetts, and once a while some broker sends me an email like this one I got this morning. So I thought I would kind of like share it with you so we can laugh together. So this guy, hold on, where's his original email? All right, so he's sending me something. He's sending me a picture like this, and I don't know what's going on, why everybody's moving these piling rigs recently, right? But this one, this like a monster, and you can tell by the length of the tracks. It says 1710, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, holy moly. And this guy says, can I get a quote to move a CZM EK300? Just the main load? Just the main load. I guess he means that they took something off. 158,000 pounds. With tracks off would be 118,000 pounds. But because, of course, if you want to take the tracks off, that means that you have to move it on a beam trailer, right? That's what they do sometimes. You know, they load it on a beam where the tracks hang in the air, and then they raise the trailer, right? So now the tracks are off the timbers, and then they can take them off, and this way they don't need the crane. The only problem is that your trailer, like, for example, if I had a beam, right, but my trailer is only 60 ton, and actually I saw also a load like this where the guy says moving some kind of a big machine, and he said the weight was like 130,000 pounds. The trailer must be able to take 200,000 pounds because they're going to be taking the tracks off, you know, like what kind of deal is that, you know? And so here it's the same thing. So it would not work, but he says without the tracks it will be 118,000 pounds. Okay, I can do 118,000 pounds. Again, the problem is I don't have a beam trailer, and I would not load 160,000 on my trailer just so that they can save on a crane and take the tracks off. But the main bad point about this is that it's loading in Toronto, Canada, but it's going to Massachusetts. So as soon as I saw those two letters, MA, I sent him a reply, and my reply was, I said, cannot be done. Reasons. Number one, my RGN is a 60 ton, total axles 10. Your load is too heavy. Number two, MA is a nightmare for heavy haul. Max gross weight with permits is 130,000 pounds. heavier than that, and you need about 10,000 for engineer bridge surveys, and these take about 1 month. If you reduce the weight to 115, 120, I can take it to a nearby state such as CT or NY, but I cannot take it to Massachusetts. And this guy says okay, thank you for getting back to me so quickly. I know that they said they could take the tracks off, which would make it 118,000. Now I know why I'm having such a hard time moving this thing. Yeah, that's why, because it's Massachusetts. And actually I look at his signature, and he's some kind of a rental coordinator in Massachusetts. Like, you know, you should probably know the rules in your state. All right, somebody else sent me here a request for a quote. I don't even have to read the details. As soon as I see here, it says Elgin or Elgin, Nebraska to Colorado. I can just delete this email, right? Because this operation is not moving loads inside US. So that was the update for Monday, October 5th. I'll do a detailed walk around, so to speak, of the invoice once I get it from Kenworth, because this would be interesting how much they will charge me. Just quickly, I usually don't do this, but quickly I'll tell you about a couple of my numbers for September. So this is the envelope, right? So only the expenses from the road are included here. So I spent, all money is Canadian dollars. Divide by 1.33 to get US dollars. So I spent 1,900 bucks on the truck, 254 on the tolls, $5,605 on fuel, 598 on the phones and internet, 6,375 bucks on permits, escorts, and licensing. And I'm gonna get back, based on this envelope, 460 bucks in sales tax. Well, actually it's gonna be more, but I'm not taking into account the lease on the truck, on the trailer. Is gonna be close to about over 1,000 bucks. But what I see here, this is the sales tax portion of my receipts from Canada. I don't get the refunds from US, but from Canada. So 460 bucks. And the revenue for the month was 57,541 from trucking and $3,864 from YouTube. That was Canadian dollars, September. Thanks for watching.